Hey everybody, welcome back out to the channel. Today we got a great episode. We are getting back to the 500 JRH in our biggest, finest revolver. Should be a good time. Let's get to shooting. Well, we are talking about our biggest, finest revolver. It's a 5.5-inch barrel and is chambered in 500 JRH. I have other videos on that if you really want to know more about it. But the 500 JRH was made to fit in a shorter action cylinder, but still be 50 cal. So it's using the same case, but much shorter than the 500 Smith & Wesson. And it still packs a pretty significant punch. The reason they wanted to do this is people wanted to be able to carry this in the backcountry and use as grizzly bear self-defense. Now, this is a biggest, finest revolver, single action only, and I kind of like that on big bore revolvers because sometimes when you get to shooting, they can get a little bit out of control and start to, as they recoil and start to come way back. And if it's double action, you may pop off a second round. In single action, you got to cock that hammer and manually move it. A little bit harder to do that in the moment of a flip back and other stuff like that. What we're really going to be testing is we're going to be testing out this bullet from Aria Engineering. It is their Raptor bullet. It's a 340 grain. I think it's kind of like a solid copper bullet. It's supposed to be, and this is probably out of a 7.5-inch barrel, but it's supposed to be doing 1,500 feet per second. That's a 340 grain bullet doing 1,500 feet per second. It's supposed to be getting 1698 kinetic energy foot-pounds and has a TKO of 36. We can put up some equations to remind everyone what energy foot-pounds are and what our Taylor knockout index is. But again, that's what some of the guys a few years back in the big game business out in Africa came up with to determine how much knockdown power your round has. This one has 36. It's going to be less than 500 Smith & Wesson. No doubt this is less than 500 Smith & Wesson. It can't compete with that. But for a little handy revolver like this, a nice joke, little handy, we're going to have to put this on the scale, but it's like 5 pounds. Like it's significant steel in this sucker. But we're going to bring it out to our ballistic gel setup today. And we're going to shoot it into our test setup. If you haven't seen it before, we have 2 layers of denim, 2 layers of t-shirt. We have 2 inches of clear ballistic gelatin. And then we have a 1/4 inch of medium density fiberboard. And then we have 32 inches of clear ballistic gel. I sure hope we capture this bullet in this gel block, but to make sure we do that, I've had some problems with zeroing. So what we're going to do, instead of first going to our ballistic testing, we're just going to go down range, make sure that this gun is zeroed, because I did put some new sights on here, put a new fiber optic front sight that did not come with it for the factory. I've made some adjustments since my last video and I was way off base. We're going to try it again, make sure that we are zeroed and ready to go so that we get our shots into the ballistic gel. And I know this is kind of a funny setup. This isn't a bear simulation. This is just if you want to just compare all the rest of my videos. I've done tons of 380 videos. Check out one of those videos and then come watch and see what this does into the ballistic gel. I think it's going to be a pretty fun experiment. But I am looking for a hunting load and a bullet. Some of these were produced. By the way, every time I shoot these, I get more cases for me to reload. And so I also have some bullets that I will reload and I will put to the test, but I'm thinking about using this for this next year in hunting some whitetail from a tree stand. So should be pretty fun. Okay, this round here is the 340 grain Raptor that was loaded by Aria Engineering. Take a look at that. You can tell that this slug goes all the way down partway through the case. My guess is there is a fair amount of compression going on. I don't know that, but that's my guess. Take a look at this round. Again, it's expecting to flower out and fragment is my guess. Pretty big. That's pretty cool. Just for comparison, this is our 9mm round over here, and this is this 500 JRH round. That's a big old slug. Let's go down, check that out. We've got just 3 rounds in here. I just got to make sure that this thing has a better zero than we had last. It was shooting way low and left. I think I've made some adjustments for it. Yeah, let's see what we do. Still way low and left. Okay, we made some more adjustments, and hopefully this time, you know, not too bad. I mean, yeah, this is not like shooting 380, but I figure my grip and other things have been following the channel. I've been really worried about how to shoot this properly, and Mountain Man, Stephen M. Mann, has been helping me. I consult with him, and he's been giving me some good advice to lock the wrists, but not the elbows when I shoot. And then another trick that I'm kind of finding with this is making sure that my knuckle here is not directly behind that trigger guard to smash it, because I've done that a couple times and that hurts like the dickens. So, yep, we'll try this again. Better, still not there. I got to go more up and a little bit more to the right. Okay, well, what we found is that we are at the extent of our adjustment, so I've probably got to get a smaller front sight post, unfortunately, but that's the way it is. We made one more left-right adjustment, and then now we'll just see where our final shot is hitting at. I think the sights are fine. It's probably just me getting used to how the point of aim, point of impact on these sights are, but this is where we started off with it. We made the adjustment, we moved to here. We were at the end of our adjustments here, and I just aimed a little different way, and that was my third shot, so I think fine. Again, the bullets are coming out of here, they're not going sideways. I always like to shoot on paper and see, and I have very limited rounds. These rounds are very expensive, but I just like to see where they're hitting on paper and how they're hitting on paper. These are good, clean through holes. This up here is 357 SIG or 9mm Magnum. And this down here is 500 JRH. Look at the size difference in these holes. That's pretty awesome. Okay, well, we got our 500 JRH 340 grain Raptor. We have our ballistic gel set up. I'm going to start the slow motion camera, and we're going to shoot into the target. Here we go. Oh boy. That's pretty cool. We've actually been trying to reconstruct what we think happened. First off, here is our medium density fiberboard, just obliterated. This is 357 SIG that we did earlier, and you'll see that there's a massive hole, yes, but then there's also little cuts through it. And in our first 2 inches, there's some massive cuts coming out, and those are the shards. So in the first inch or so, it had peeled back on that bullet and left the blades coming off it. We see the 4 blades in this first inch or 2 of this gelatin. But just take a look at the massive amount of twisting and the size of that's going through there. That is crazy. But it's kind of at that point, it's no longer mushroomed. And as we see it go into this next block, it's kind of hard to see, because what you see in this block are 2 clear pathways that are from our 357 SIG test. This is just supposed to be a catch block. But as we start to rotate, you see a very thin line where that bullet went the rest of the way out of the gel. My guess is what was left of that bullet was a little bit thinner and acted more like an FMJ as it came out of this gel and just zipped through the rest of it. So pretty awesome penetration, pretty incredible devastation in the first little bit. I don't think I'm a huge fan of that fracturing round, because all of that fracturing and damage occurred in the first 4 inches, right? It was all done by here. So this is 2, another 2, another 1.5 inches. Within 3 or 4 inches, all that fracturing was done for. I would love for that to be happening a little bit more throughout the gelatin. All right, now, what if you have a bare naked grizzly bear coming after you that has no fur, Nothing else like that. We're gonna have to test this into the clear ballistic gel and see what it was. Oh, and by the way, we collapsed our stand for our chronograph. Some of the clothing flew off and knocked it over, but it did get 1451 as a velocity for that last round. Let's do it one more time into this setup. I'm gonna add that 2 inches of gel just to try and, if we have any chance of capturing this round. I have little to no hope of capturing this round in here, but let's see what we can tell the difference between these. Okay, well, we got our one more round of the 340 Raptor round loaded by Aria Engineering, going just into our clear ballistic gelatin. No t-shirt, no medium density fiberboard. Here we go. Wowzers. 1451 is what our chronograph says. Let's go down, check it out. Okay, well, you probably saw that in the video, but a little bit disappointing results. We started in, and I maybe was a little too low and a little too off to the right on my shot, and we escaped out at maybe the center of the second block here. But pretty good wound track, and a lot of petals coming off yet again, in that all the petals were done coming off in these first 4 inches of gelatin. So, well, maybe you count this stuff here, so some pretty massive holes in this. Look, this is the first shot. This is that second shot. This is 357 sig for comparison. Yeah, 0.357 is less than 0.5. I get that, but still pretty incredible when you see it. Okay, well, we just have 3 rounds now. We have our Garmin radar up, so hopefully this just gives us a little bit more data. We had the chronograph. Chronograph was getting knocked over and beat up as we were shooting it. I'm not sure how accurate it was, probably accurate enough. Let's see what the Garmin says here as we shoot these rounds. I didn't mean to shoot for the steel, but I hit the steel. That's a big loud. 507. $520. Got to be careful. I got that knuckle a little caught in that handguard. I got to get that wrist around a little bit. There we go. I think there we go. 508. 508. 1508. All right, let's just take a look and see what that 3-shot group was. For our average, we had a min of 1507 and an average of 1512 and a max of 1520. That's some good stuff. That is some very good stuff. Average kinetic energy of 1725 with a 50 cal projectile coming out of a 5.5 inch barrel. That's a lot of fun, guys. This is a lot of fun. Sometimes you got to just go big. This is kind of big, at least for me. I do a lot of stuff on the channel with 380 ACP, so this is big. All right. All right, well, what a fun day. I love shooting this 500 JRH. I love shooting this big bore revolver. It is really pretty fun and pretty awesome. That round packs a pretty good punch, but you know what? It did a number on that gel block. That would be a fun round to hunt with, but I'm not so sure I want those fracturing petals like the way that they went out and only going out in the first inch or two. No doubt, that round is going to take out whatever it needs to take out. And I wish we would add more gel block, and I'm really going to have to bring out my 20% gel when I do future tests with this. Just need to remind myself to bring it to try and slow that down, try to capture these rounds. But just based on that initial indications, I don't think I like the way the XTP performed just a little bit better than the way this Raptor performs. But I'd like to hear from you what you all think about that. And again, I'm thinking about this in the context of a hunting round as opposed to a self-defense or a personal defense backpacking, where I'd probably use more of a hard cast lead if I'm going up against grizzly bears or something like that. But It's also a pretty heavy revolver to be carrying in the backwoods, but it would definitely get the job done if you were going into heavy grizzly bear country. Let me know what you all think about this 500 JRH. Is it a fun toy or is it a serious tool? Put it in the comments below. Hope everyone has a great week, and let's get you shooting.
From pistols to rifles, we'll take on the best. Review and each weapon, put them to the test. With revolvers and shotguns, we'll break it all down. The Second Amendment protects from the crown. Living for freedom,